Good afternoon to all. This is Warren Harper, also known as Magic Man 50, hosting City Jazz Sessions. We are live in the cave in Afton. Today, our special guest is Jayson Jennings, electronic beat producer, keyboardist, who goes by Robot DJ6. How's everybody?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Fantastic.
I'm fine.
All right. We also have at the table today Leon Davis, to the side of Storm.
I've decided I want a handle also.
What's your handle, man?
I just haven't figured out what I want yet.
Well, okay, tell us when you come up with
Okay.
it. Yeah, we'll help you if you need
Thank
help.
you. I do.
I'm sure we can come up with something tasty. Asada, you want to handle it too while we're on this?
Asata is my
Asada, that's
A
fine.
handle of
Asata
what?
Storm is my
Yeah, right. Okay, well, let's get into this now. Robot DJ6. Very interesting. You said we'll talk about that name a little bit later.
Yeah.
So let's go into your background. You are a self-taught musician,
Yes, sir.
30 years, 4 years self-taught guitar. He strummed a little bit for us. You were born in California, raised in Arizona, and has been in St. Louis since 2000. You say you went to Sumner?
Yep, Sumner Class 02.
Bulldogs in the house. You heard that, Ed Patton? All right, you studied at the Art Institute. You got a BFA in game and art design, doing art, animation, background music for independent retro computer games. Man, that's some deep stuff.
Yes,
So
sir.
let's get into what you do. Just talk about how you got started doing this electronic stuff and how you got introduced to music.
Well, I got introduced to music because it was just always around. When I was little, I used to listen to my older bro play Nintendo, and there was a keyboard nearby, so that's when I developed my ear, just listening to those game sounds, and then just hacking away at the notes. Then I started doing the same with the radio, and started coming up with my own songs, and started doing electronic music, I'd say around 2005. I got my hands on FL Studio, they call it now, or Fruity Loops back then. It started out, I was procrastinating because I didn't want to run, but I wanted some new music to listen to when I went running, so I sat down and I made something, and then I burned it onto a CD, and then midway through, like, running around the course, I'm like, wait a minute, did I just make music?
I heard that. All right. So, you said you were running. Now, I thought earlier you said you weren't really crazy about running. Did you kind of lose that passion for running, or?
Well, I mean, this is later after high school track, which really wasn't my choice.
Okay,
The track coach.
right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a whole other story, y'all. So we won't hate on that teacher, but Anyway, so tell us about the Fruity Loops program. What can you say about that?
I can say it used to get a little bit of a bad rap because it didn't have the greatest available sounds on it, but over time it's evolved some. They call it FL Studio now, so it doesn't get the same connotations as Fruity Loops. But yeah, like, you open it up and then you have on the left side all these different instruments and drum kits and sounds you can choose from, and then you drag them over to the right in like the pattern area, and then you get like what's called the piano roll. It's a picture of a literal piano on the side, and just like writing notes old school, like you're composing music, you go in and you just grab it, and then if you look at the screen you can see all these notes here. Like, you just chart the notes and then plot them along, pick what instrument each one gets, and then you piece together a whole song out of that. So you could do a symphony if you wanted to, or you could use less common sounds and more electronic sounds. But yeah, I just wanted to debunk this notion out there that someone just presses a button one time and the computer writes the whole song. Like, it's still old school music composition. It plays the sound out loud for you, so you don't necessarily have to read sheet music. Like, I've been playing my whole life, I don't read a lick of sheet music. But I've played on stage, played in bands, I've gone places, played open mic nights, house bands, all types of things.
Cool. So, what are some of your favorite instruments you like to compose with?
In real life, my favorite is hands down the piano. It's always been the piano, or any type of key instrument, be it an organ, a keyboard, or a keytar, which those are making a comeback.
Gotcha. So who plays keytar?
Well, Duran Duran played it That's the most famous old one. But then recently I got into it because I saw the band Dragon Force with it. They're a foreign metal band, and
Okay.
the keyboardist played a keytar that's kind of shaped like an axe. I'm like, whoa, what is that instrument? And then, I look back at, the early 80s when it was big, and then, like, I'm going to give me one of those.
Okay. Okay. So, are those expensive instruments?
I mean, they'll run you anywhere from $1,000 to $6,000, depending on quality or if it's used or not.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we'll have to get you to bring one of those in the studio next time.
You got it.
I'd love to hear that. Did Prince ever play one of those?
I mean, Prince played so many instruments, there's no telling what the man played. Probably.
Probably, yeah, that's true. Prince could play anything. So what do you think, Asada?
So the keytar is a guitar keyboard?
It's shaped like a guitar, so you hold it by the neck, but instead of having strings, it's got piano keys on it. It's electronic.
Okay, I'm very familiar. Let me think. Attending the jazz festivals, Pieces of a Dream. When the guy, he plays it, he switches from his piano, and he'll pull that out, and he starts playing it all the time. And it allows him to walk into the crowd or whatnot. So I thought they were really cool, too, when I saw this gentleman playing his. It's a very nice instrument. It's pretty cool.
It's fun. It does. It gives the keyboardist mobility.
Yes.
There was a punk rock band I was in where everybody else was jumping around and playing their instruments, and I'm over here in the corner, stationary on the keyboard, just looking at the rest of the band like, man, y'all are having fun.
So, right, it is a way to get out there and have fun with those guys. So, yeah, it's a very interesting instrument. As far as I'm concerned, I like it.
So about how many songs do you think you've composed or written since you've been doing this?
Totally lost count. Definitely over 1,000. I can confidently say over 1,000.
Wow. Have you published anything?
Yes, actually. I have sold some to, alright, so the first start out was, this artist MC Chris. He's from Adult Swim on Cartoon Network. That's where he first got noticed. He was a voice actor who played a rapping character on one of the shows.
Okay.
So that spitballed into him becoming a national touring rapper. He made a song about Star Wars that got pretty big. Then he made a song about smoking weed. I don't know if I can say that on the podcast, but anyways.
Absolutely.
So he's an established artist, and then someone posted on Facebook that he was looking for a new beat producer. And I was tagged in that post, so I responded to it. And just like that, my songs got picked up by him, and that started me out professionally producing beats.
Cool.
So since then, I've done 9 songs for him between 2 albums, and that's spinballed into local people coming to me for beats, and people just hitting me up online from anywhere, from Ghana to Australia to anywhere.
Great.
Email
So
opens
did you
up.
bring a sample of something you could play for us?
Well, sure.
Or maybe would you like to maybe create instead of? Which one would you rather do?
Well, a little of both here, because while I was sitting in the studio earlier, I started making something,
Okay.
and I left it intentionally unfinished so we could make a little bit more here. So,
All right. Let's rock.
alright, I'm going to hit play. So this is what we got so far. So we got this intro here, this kind of a saw synth sound, and then the kick drum, the bass are going to come in. Figure 130 beats per minute, not too bad. Then you add in your snares here. Then we're going to have a little breakdown. And then the hat snares and everything is going to come back in over here as soon as it plays through this one more time.
I was going to say turn the music a little bit so we can hear him talking. Yeah,
All
so
right.
we can hear him when he's,
Right on. So it's just a short sample here, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a new part of the melody. So I've opened up that piano roll thing I was telling you about. So basically it's a digital keyboard, and it's just turned sideways, so you can look across at how you place the notes throughout time. So I have a bit of a melody here already, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to erase it, just so you see it's not something preset.
Okay.
And I'm going to create something totally new from scratch here. Well, as far as this part of the song. So, I'm going to grab pattern 2 here, go in here, then we go to this sound and put it in piano roll. Now, I'm going to just start plugging notes in.
It's green in the front.
As if it's green, it's not
The
recording.
green
It should be
front.
red, right?
Yeah.
Aha.
Okay. I'm sorry, Adam. You were right. I thought because I was seeing the levels that we were okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
How does it feel to be right, Adam? You were right.
Usual.
Usual.
All right. That's
Just
the guy
kidding.
who's gonna be on the camera.
Just
Yes,
kidding.
Sam, you know, he's always right.
Alright, so what I'm going to do is listen to the song and then chart notes. So I'm going to turn this channel on so we can hear it made. Alright, now we hear where it's going to come in. Alright, one lonely note. Now let's keep making more. Ding, ding. And let's hear what that sounds like. Play it back. And let's see what that sounds like. Sometimes the simplest strategy is the best. I'm just going to go ahead with that. And now we're going to take the paintbrush tool and put that part of the song in there. And it all comes together.
Cool.
And then just take that as many times as different instruments you want to include in the melody. Leave some room, like, you know, with your highs and lows, to where there's enough room for a voice to fit on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the important part too. A lot of early producers, you'll overcrowd the beat with all these different parts of melody you think can go in there. You forget to leave room for a vocalist.
Gotcha.
I used to do that a lot.
Matter of fact, remember when Fred and I were here, and he was saying that in reference to when we were doing the summertime song, and he was saying one of the tracks had it open to where it could allow him to play, and the other one where it was more filled with melodies and everything, and he was like, I can't play. There's no room for me to play over it because there's already so much in there. And that's so. Just saying, this is another way to analyze or see that particular perspective of the music on that level. And that's why he was saying,
Right.
I can't play over that because it has a lot of melodies already
already
there.
too
It's
full.
actually, it's already too full. So if he plays within it, it's kind of like, you'll hear him, but you may not feel. It kind of takes away a feel.
Right.
And the one I had that I sing on, it's the same way. If it has too much of, it was in, can't be in the lead part. It didn't leave a lead. It didn't leave any lead space for him to play, or if I was going to sing into that space. It's already in there, leading wise. So
Exactly.
that's the same thing he's saying here. It's just trying to give you a different way to look
Yeah,
at it.
once I started working with vocalists, that's when I really, understood that they'd send it back and say, hey, we need you to take all of this part out of it and then all of that part out of it. Or if I listen to hip-hop, especially hip-hop, those beats are notoriously simple. And they're really, really slow, too, compared to what I like to listen to. People would tell me that they would swear up and down it's a fast song. And I'm listening to the instrumental and not really the person on it going, so I didn't catch that. I'm just like, why are people dancing so fast to this incredibly slow music? And then I realized, nah, they're feeding off of the vocalist. It's a really open palette for these rappers to come in and do all these different types of rhythms and triplets or they can turn it into like a 6/8 beat and all types of things they're doing vocally. And I'm like,
Okay.
that's what's going on there. The beat doesn't have to be that complex.
Wow.
And everything still moves together, so it's kind of like, hand in glove. They have to fit. It's like a marriage. You have to actually marry lyrics to
Right.
to a beat, to production, no matter what style. You have to, it makes it fit in there a lot better. So.
For sure.
And I like that you already started humming a melody along with that. That's a good sign.
Mm-hmm. My bad.
No, that's not your bad. That's a good thing. That means
I didn't hear that. Hum that melody again. Okay.
we've already possibly got a hit single here.
So what is the biggest thing happening in your music career right now?
My favorite artist actually agreed to collaborate with me. That's not something a lot of people could say in their lifetime. Their musical influence themselves is like, hey, let's collaborate. His name's DJ Sorrel. He's from Australia. A lot of his music, he does rave music. So like, again, kind of like that more upbeat club music.
What did just play?
But yeah, so I befriended him on Facebook because I'll friend anyone. I'll add anyone. Everyone's people to me. Like, I'm not gonna think, oh, this is Eminem. I'm not going to email him. Psych. I'm going to do that.
I heard you. You never know.
But so this guy responded first on SoundCloud and added him on Facebook. Been friends for some years. Dropped a hint every once in a while, but not in an overbearing way. And finally, it was just like, hey, you know what? I really like this melody you've got here. Let's actually do something with that, and we'll develop that. And I'm just like, really? We're doing this?
Yeah. Hey. All right. So how big is this guy?
I've watched whenever he puts a song out on YouTube, within like an hour or so, it usually averages 1 to 3 million views. So
Whoa.
that's doing pretty well.
I would say.
He's not so commercially known in America because, especially his music, it ranges in like the 175 to 180 beats per minute range, really fast. Not a lot of American listeners. But there's some niche audiences. I mean, he just got done touring America, so someone's listening to it here.
Oh,
Absolutely.
definitely. But he doesn't have to be, that has nothing to do with the States anyway, because a lot of that music is overseas, or your rave clubs, or your house music style type of, so maybe West Coast here and there, but there's a lot of artists who aren't known in the States, but they're massive in other countries.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
that it doesn't even, it doesn't matter if he is or not. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, and what I can see in being an artist myself, he's major where he is, and he has listeners, and it shows through the
numbers.
there you go. Help me
The
out.
numbers don't lie.
I went to sleep there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all
absolutely.
good.
So Asada, you got any hot lyrics out now? You just might be looking for some beats for or something?
Did you not hear that, guy? That's my beat right there, buddy. And that is my. See, the good thing about me is that I don't even have it. I do not. God has blessed me not to have a set genre, a style. I write what I feel. If I can feel it, it's coming. It's going to happen. And that's just so happens my style as well. So it's like,
Okay.
it works for me. Again, I write what I feel. If I can feel it, it happens.
So Jayson, have you heard of any of Asada's stuff?
Well, I did hear her sing a lovely rendition of "Summertime."
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she's got some original stuff, so maybe you guys can sit down and who knows what might come up.
It's true. We do got to check out each other's work. Most
Yeah.
def.
That's right.
Yeah, she's got some hot lyrics.
All day long.
All day long.
All day.
And all day long. And I'm in.
Is that in
and
fact
I'm in,
what she said?
And I'm. Let's see. Well, that's what she said. That works.
That's what she said.
That's what she
okay.
said.
Right.
And I'm in that thousand song range as well. So we should have a lot of music also. So this should be good.
Yeah, well,
And the fact that he
awesome.
doesn't have a limit to the style of music that he produces. Also, we did get a chance to talk about that, so that makes it awesomely good as well. So it's a chance that I can actually send him dry lyrics,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
he can create around
Exactly.
the lyrics because they're already formulated to. They have a pattern. But he gets to choose how he wants to direct those lyrics into feel. But I have songs that are done.
Yep.
you know, on that level. So lyrically, I could just send over dry lyrics, a cappella, and
Yep.
he can go from there.
Or if you have a song that's been done before that, you know, you still have the acapellas to it, you can send it to me, and I could even come up with a remix for something. Just like if you wanted to see how it would be done differently.
Remix.
Ooh, he just
Woo.
all day long. I have plenty
Let's
of those.
do this.
Yes.
You gotta hear that. That's one of
Yes.
my favorite ones that she's done, and
Oh, I have
like
a few
that.
like that. That would be hot because
Few.
back you remember not long ago, and people still do it now. They remix a lot of, you know, if you listen to an R&B song and the next thing you know you hear it, it's on a beat like what he just played.
Oh, yeah,
that he
yeah.
just
Yeah.
and it takes it from the R&B stand into a dance mode, into a club vibe. So that's all that
Yeah,
is. Oh, definitely.
transcends genres. Then it might
Oh,
reach some
man.
people that might not have
Exactly.
heard it before.
Exactly. Correct. Yeah.
So you got anything else for us?
Well, musically, I just decided to bring this this short demo that I brought here. This whole collab idea is just literally just coming together right here before our eyes on this podcast.
Okay. Well, we seem to have lost our live feed for a second, but that's okay.
Oh, no.
That's okay. We got it going on in other forums, and I really appreciate you coming out, spend some time with us while we develop our craft here. Next time, maybe you can bring that. What was it? The
Well, you-
Guitar.
guitar.
Were you wrapping up?
Well, well, no, we're not through yet, but
Oh, okay.
you know, I was just telling you what happened with the live
Oh,
stream.
okay.
There was an issue.
Because
Okay.
I had a couple of questions I wanted
Got
to.
you.
Will Nick is watching now. Anyway,
Hi, Nick.
yeah, we usually get more.
Hey,
Fred,
Nick.
Fred is in. We
Hey,
usually get more
Fred.
watchers, but we can replay this. So, you got anything else you can come up with for us?
I mean, I could surely demo another one of my
Does
songs
it
on here.
tighten up right there?
Yeah, I would
I've tried
definitely
it.
like to hear another song.
Let's see. I could just play one of these random songs we might have on the desktop here.
Okay.
This one's called Blades and Stuff.
All right. For those of you who just chimed in, this is Jayson Jennings.
Sounds
followed by
martial
DJ
art
Six.
form to me. Blades and stuff sounds like some martial arts going on over there.
Do you have a martial art background?
See, some blades and stuff. That's what it sounds like to me.
Let's see, this is as loud as it goes on the computer, so hopefully you can hear it.
Yeah.
Exactly like I made the song earlier that I showed you guys, you know, just putting the notes in there in the computer. There it is again. This one's clearly a bit more developed and a bit faster. Okay, you could see like some fast pace, like maybe a action scene. Might even have to be animated. Or picture like, I don't know, Transformers free running and doing flips off the sides of things. There you go.
I was gonna say it sounds movie track soundtrackish. Also, it has a feel where you can actually have it in movies. You know, some type of movie games, like he said.
Yeah.
Transformers. I can see that.
It's definitely an action scene.
Oh, definitely,
piece.
yes.
Somebody on the move, you know.
Right.
Or video games. You know.
It almost has like a falling, but not quite like falling out of control. Like maybe, I don't know, hang gliding, or maybe it's like Spider-Man, like, I don't know, slinging from one place to another or something.
Okay, we can do with that too.
There you go, like maybe Iron Man doing a dive in the suit and then, like, you know, weaving in and out of some buildings or something.
So what is that? Was that a plug to try to get into the next
Plug,
version of that movie?
Plug.
Hey, you might be
Marvel.
onto something there.
Plug.
Hey, Marvel, are you watching?
That's right.
Jayson Jennings here, Marvel. Look him up.
Now it needs like a dubstep breakdown.
I can see that.
But yeah, the floor is open. I mean, we can still talk over this, or I can pick another one. Yeah, sky's the limit.
Yeah, if you got some more, yeah, give him one or two more. Something a little different, maybe.
Alright. There you go. I'll go ahead and turn this down, fade it out. Alright, let me go ahead and choose another one. We'll look around, see what we got in here. They're all over the place. Here we go. This one is it's from a game design project where we had to make it was a group project, and we were assigned to make a game about a Chinese restaurant. Go figure. They make games about everything. They're not all action. But alright. So you got this kind of more Asian influence sounding. Turn it up, fade it in. Definitely a lot slower.
You killed it, my brother.
That you gotta lip sync it badly. This is a podcast.
Right.
This is City Jazz Sessions, y'all, with Jayson Jennings in the house.
Jayson Jennings.
Robot DJ 6, demonstrating his skills. This guy's got some nice beats.
Thank you.
Different also.
Got a
It's
whole
not the
new level of
typical.
respect for beats now.
Hey, that's why I was so glad to come on here, cause I know there's a disconnect between you made music on a computer versus you play music by hand. But coming from a background of both, I thought I would just bridge the gap a little, help you
Oh, yeah.
understand
Awesome.
how they're related.
Yeah, I can see the connection now. Doing it on the screen, but actually hearing it sound like real music, like you said. It's real, you know.
I'd definitely say there's some people that just jump straight into the computer and maybe didn't play an instrument first. So I can see where some people who like me, I spent a lifetime playing instruments, but I do both. Whereas somebody who only knows the instrument side of it and then sees someone just hop on a computer and make something, it's like, well, wait a minute. Did the computer just magically do that for you?
Right.
Yeah, so
Not really.
some people just, I don't know, man, they don't even take a look at the screen. Some people really don't want to know. Not just older folk too, like some younger folks. I won't call it any one particular demographic. Hippies. It's alright, love y'all to death. I'm gonna make wire raps and everything, but it's usually who I'll hear from. We like bluegrass, we like this, and we don't really understand where electronic music comes from, and we refuse to learn. Which it's fine. I can't take a spoon and force knowledge down anyone's throat.
No, you can't.
No,
So,
I'm
Leon, what are you thinking over there? You just kind of got your head kind of...
Well, I was listening. He was talking about the difference between computer music and live music. What do you see as the driving force between those two? What separates them? What makes people not like or push back against computer music versus a live instrument?
I'm not really sure, because I even see that between live instrument things okay, I like punk rock and I like metal, but some people will like one but not the other, or I might like jazz, but the next person who likes jazz too might not like bluegrass, whereas I'm just why can't we all get along musically?
Well, so I'm thinking does a song created on your computer sound any different than if it had been created in a studio?
With
It
live
can.
instruments,
It
you're
can.
With
asking?
live instruments.
Great
I think, definitely. It's going to
Good
be,
question.
it's a more, I think you can always hear that there's a computer being involved. When you have live music, it's just authentic. It's raw, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
You don't have the effects. You don't have the computerized if sounds or whatever. There's something inside a computer or inside of electronic music that it just definitely would never be in live instruments. And I think that's just a big separation, bottom line. So that's why I mean, to each his own. It's a personal choice. Also, the good thing for him is that he's done both. He has the live music sound side of it, and then he has the electronic sound of it. But authentic wise, I think just hands down, it would never. They do their own things, so you don't want to necessarily compare because this.
Well, no,
But-
he had mentioned that that some people don't like computer generated music, and so I'm trying
the
to
sound, yeah.
just trying to understand.
And it's probably the sound. It's almost like analog. You remember back in the day how music sounded a certain way before.
Sure.
So I think it's a matter of what feels. But computer music can be made to feel very,
And
very
you can
live.
get really close.
Very live. You can reach you know, but it just there's a, how they said it, 99.9. There's that 1% that will probably never from the computer ever match the authentic raw sound
Right.
of live music.
Especially string instruments. String
You
instruments
can't.
are the hardest to imitate. You can create a strum note. You can go into like almost you can actually go to 1/28th of a note. You can slice notes that closely, zoom way in, and you can create the strum effect of having hit each different string in the guitar in like one stroke. You can get that accurate. That's also going to involve like a lot of time, and I'll sit there and do that. Not everybody's going to do that, but it's still not going to sound exactly like the twang of hitting that string exactly right, or hitting it exactly off some, or the pitch bend of like
Yeah, it's just hard. It's not hard to imitate, but it's gonna always probably be. You'll never be able to just like completely duplicate a live raw
Right.
sound of
never get it.
authentic music. It just isn't gonna happen. And by me being on both sides as well, I have a lot of tracks that I use, but live music will always be for me the bomb because
So-
it is so. It's just something you cannot reproduce unless you're doing it live the way it is. That doesn't mean that these two aren't. You know what I mean?
Right, and they can be married together. Like a lot of songs I do. So I found a guitarist on YouTube. We've never actually met face to face. We made about 12 songs together, and he also goes on YouTube and he'll play videos where he plays guitar parts over my electronic songs, and that's one way to bridge the gap right there. Bring live instruments with it.
Perfect example. A couple of songs on my album, Fabulous but Not Flawless. There's a live drummer, Nate Riggins. He's playing the lead guitar live, and most people who play live music knows that that's a live guitar in there. So again, like you said, you can add live drums, you can add live, this, that, and other, and it's going to give it a whole nother. You just know when you know. I think it's just a whole other feel. Although this is awesome. I mean, it really is because like I say I've done both, and I love it.
How does that affect where in the digital world we've got artists that compose a song that aren't even in the same city or even in the same country? They basically record or digitize their portion of the song, and then it's all sent to someplace else, and it's all put together. How does that?
Well, you can actually record a person playing live.
Yeah.
You don't.
I understand that, and so I'm trying to put for okay. The reason I'm asking these questions is I don't particularly play a musical instrument, and that's probably bad being on talking about music.
No,
So
not
from
necessarily, no.
my aspect, from a person
Because you
who
have a
has
different,
answer,
Right.
because you're going to ask totally different questions than a musician, so it wouldn't really
Exactly.
matter. If you knew music, then we're always just having a conversation amongst one another, but because you don't, you get to ask questions that we would never think of address. So
we need your opinion. In fact,
Okay,
probably
so-
more than just echoing our own.
So there's the concern of computer generated music and versus live instruments.
Yeah, it's a
So
sound.
is
thing.
that bias reflected in artists not working in the same studio to create a compilation?
no, because
Do you understand what I'm saying?
understand.
no, it's like we're two. Let's say he was in Japan and I was here, and we're trying to do a song together. If I chose to use live instruments, and he was going to actually add some, with the internet being a big source of being able to do a lot of what we do now. I
Exactly.
record live, he record what he does, and we put it together, and it's going to sound. I'm going to keep the
It's going to
authentic
be
sound
as
I
if
have.
we were in the studio
And
together.
you wouldn't be able to.
And then so do those people who object to or have some pushback against digitized music, do they have that same
It's a remote
pushback?
collaboration.
Do they have that same pushback against that type of
Well, I
collaboration?
think it's a personal preference.
a
Because you have half
preference.
and half. You have people who would never, they could care less about anything this way. They prefer live instrument, that raw, authentic feel. This does nothing for them. Then you have those who could care to utilize both. And it not, if you really look at how things are even going, you have a lot of artists out there even now who play live instruments and probably may not even record with tracks ever, but you'll find them actually playing 2 tracks sometime or having somewhere input in there. However, so again, but it's more of a personal preference. You know what I mean? So it's not like you have those who are very against it. If it ain't live, it ain't real. And you have
Right.
some that's saying if it ain't digital, it ain't real. this has evolved us. This is done. So it's a personal preference. It's not really about, to each his own. You know what I mean? So you just have to. It's about whoever you are, I guess. Also, if you do music, then it's it's what you choose. And if you do not, then you do what you do. You ask questions. You know what I mean? So again, it's a personal preference. Because I see both. I have some folks that they love live music. I love live music, and I know the difference. I know what I feel. They'll hear me say it all the time. Man, I can't wait to get back to the live. But that doesn't mean I'll ever leave digital. That I ever leave the computer, because I've done both, and I recognize and I feel. So you know what I mean? It works for me, but it doesn't mean it works for everyone else. So again, so it's just a personal preference on how you feel about what you want to do and what you're trying to execute. What are you trying to allow people to feel or see?
So true.
So, because there's feeling in either way, each one. We look at it every day in commercials. We don't know if everything that we're hearing is live or digitized.
Right. A lot of listeners don't even question it, as long as it's seamless.
Right. So it's more for musicians that's probably going to be on the end of what you're asking, unless you're just inquisitive like you're doing now.
Oh, that's
but
good.
for the most part, listeners, they're just, whatever feels good and sounds good to them, they could probably, some of them, I take that back to a degree, because you have folks who love to go to live events. They only want to see live musicians. Then you have some that will go, and you have bands and people that are playing, and they have a mixture, and they love that. So again, either way it goes, it's more of a personal preference. You have some people who would never go to see a show where they're going to hear, what was it? They called it something anomics back then, when everything got digitized, and you had all the Herbie Hancocks and the different things that were coming about. But people loved it. When you have a lot of people, Herbie was massive, as far as people were concerned. You know what I mean? But then you got somebody listening to George Duke and those guys, and it's like, man, it's the bomb, right? Yeah, so it's, again, when in the end, it's more of a personal preference. When either way, whether you're a listener or you're a musician, listeners know what they want to hear and feel. Musicians know what they want to play and feel.
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh, you touched on a good point. I was in a band once where they said, look, we're going to play to the audience, we're going to keep it simple, and we're not just going to show up and play for other musicians with complicated arpeggios and all this, craziness just to show your chops, just for the sake of showing how good you are at the instrument. Let's actually just make something that's a groovable tune, and
Yeah, something the artists can relate to.
Right.
And that's when I realized, there's a totally different way you're going to listen to music if you're not a musician. You're going to be listening from a totally different standpoint.
So as a digital artist, do you call yourself a digital artist?
I would call myself both, yes.
Okay. So, since we're talking about your digital artistry,
Right.
as a digital artist, how do you see that industry developing? Is that a good question?
It's a good question. It's a great question. I hadn't really thought of too much of an answer besides it's just here.
It's there already. I mean, it's like, and it's constantly developing. The difference is, I guess the digital side is something you can always take into different levels, just like you can with live music. You have some folks that only play to this magnitude, but then you have some of the live that's just, this is just, you can constantly, I think, just, it's forever changing. Because
I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I thought of an answer.
Okay.
Depends on what the people in those crowds are going to demand. It's usually like the DJ goes there and he plays something, and whatever the crowd flocks to, whatever makes the biggest show, whatever is in popular demand by the people. I mean, that's kind of how DJing works, crowd reaction. So, dubstep came about. A lot of people liked that, and they really didn't understand it when it first did, because it was amelodic for the most part. The parts that people got excited about were noises and the chord progression, everything just disappeared, and it was one tone, but it was a lot of different sounds, and people reacted to that. They didn't understand it at first. There's no melody. I don't understand what's going on. So, I listened to it and learned how to imitate it. Never really understood it. I like that it kind of faded out some, and I can get back into melodies.
Okay.
The trend went back to something I like again.
Okay, and I guess that's what I'm trying to get at is, there's a part of your music that you really like, and then there's a part of it that you do because your audience likes it.
exactly.
I remember when T came, and I don't want to pick one particular artist.
Auto-tune.
Yeah, the auto-tune.
Guilty of it. I've totally
Gotta go.
done it.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm
Sure.
just gonna put on the brakes and go back to Roger Troutman off the rip because that's where T-Pain got what he was doing from. So I'm just gonna have to put, and that's the reality. See, Roger Troutman, the Gap Band,
Right.
that's Computer Love.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be your man.
Zap.
Oh yeah.
No, I understand
He
that.
had
And so
Oh, the
it's the purity of the art form.
And see, and they were playing. They had their live instruments along with it. T-Pain
Okay.
used total. It was all digital.
Digitization.
Right.
Right.
Roger was actually playing while he had the voice cord in his
vocoder.
mouth, and he had a whole band behind him. So it was more authentic. I'm not gonna say it isn't now, but that's where it derived from. He just
Yeah.
had, and I'm sure it's maybe before him, but the it was more.
I feel like they did it better. You're
They
right.
did. You had to have you were playing something live in order to get. And the sound just came from the tube, but you needed your instrument. You need your instrument to make that happen.
Well, actually, his
Right.
voice
Right
at
now-
that point was just another instrument.
Exactly. The voice
Right.
is an instrument,
Right.
actually.
Right.
So
Yes,
yes.
yes.
So the voice is actually an instrument, and it is. But what T-Pain was doing, nothing what Roger was doing. It just gave it the sound. See, they were able to duplicate an authentic what he was doing back then and put it into the digital mode. So again, even though he went through a keyboard or guitar, whatever it was they were doing, you understand? So
So that's
that
kind
made
of
any sense to
that's
you?
kind of the kind of question I was trying to get at is there are changes in the industry. There are things that people do that crowds like, that artists do, but not necessarily like.
well, I think if you
Does that make sense?
That's the
Yeah.
truth. But that's if you plan on. It's like if your mission again, it's a choice thing. It's like what are you after out here musically? What are you after now? Are you after the money and the crowds and the mainstream and things
But
that?
don't you have to do both?
That's if that's your mission. You have some people who
depends on
care
their
about
mission.
what they do inside. I love my music so much to where I just chose not to compromise to a degree. Yes.
Bingo.
Now, if I want to make money, if I want
But
to
if
do that,
if you can't eat at that, what do you do?
then you go to make the money.
Okay.
Now,
Right.
but there's also money to be made in authenticity.
Okay.
If you're authentic, if you can be who you are, there's money to be made being who you are.
If you build
There's
it,
listeners
they'll
for every single
Bingo.
way you want to do it. Now you may not eat as you're gonna eat, but you may not make as much, but you can make a living definitely. That depends on what level that you want to go to. You want to go to the status where you're here and you're dealing with certain levels of the game, or you want to be here with who you are and you're still delivering the same, Again, there's people for every era of
I know what you're trying
whatever.
to say.
Yeah. Well, can you say it because I can't find the words?
Like there's something for everyone, and there's not one cookie cutter definition of what success in an industry is. Like if you want to be a top 40 artist,
Exactly. Then you're gonna do what mainstream wants. You're
Right.
gonna put out the music that mainstream, and you're gonna compromise. You're gonna say, okay, so he's after something, so he's gonna do both. I've done it before, so I know it. And also, for me, I can be just as authentic using this style of music or the live instruments as well, and still not be on the playing field here, but be here and be comfortable and satisfied, making what I need to make, but still being who I am without having to put something out there that I necessarily don't like inside of me musically. So there is a way to do it, and again, it doesn't mean you have to sit lower or here just to be that. But if you're after that that's it within the mainstream. If you're after that, then you're gonna do what's needed to make that happen. That's the bottom line. When you're being who you are, like the Princes and this, it took the folks that it took for a while to come out. The folks that it took for people to downgrade or play or say that they weren't this or they were weird. I remember when Prince first came about.
Yeah.
He's weird. Nobody, but look who he turned out to be because nobody understood. See, people are scared of what they don't
Mozart was weird.
understand.
Beethoven was weird.
And what everybody follows the crowd. So you have the narrow road and you have the wide one. I don't stay on the narrow one. It's a little harder to get through, but when you get there, it's not about the winning, it's about the finishing. So you want something that lasts, and that's why a lot of our older music still exists today, and it gives you a different, you'll hear that, but digitize certain things that come about, it comes and goes.
Right.
Authenticity is going to stay forever, and that's the difference. So it all depends on what are you looking for. Are you, you're on this playing field or this. And I was going to say, even in your financial state, say if you're out there for money, doesn't mean that you can't still be on the same playing field. You just might not be here. Just like there's a lot of artists people may not even be thinking about, but they're overseas somewhere in other countries making, and they're probably doing just as good as a Jay-Z or Beyonce, whoever they think is on the top 40 of whatever. Their top
Right.
40 is not your top 40, but they're probably there also. So again, I think it's more about it's a personal preference. You know, it's hard if it's something you're really gifted with and you like really feel what you're doing, then it's hard to dip into. I got to do this just to, and then. But if you're capable, if you're gifted and talented to do that too, then why not? Yeah,
Right.
I do this over here, but this is what I really do
Oh, all the
because
time.
I have that. I do that. I have to.
Yeah.
I have this here, and that's why even with some of my music, I tell people, if you like. The beats are good also, but I'm a lyric person. I'm always saying something. I don't care what genre, what level of it is. There's something being said. A lot of people don't want to hear certain things. They only want to do what's for whatever for the moment. So you have a lot of artists out there, again, who will not compromise what's real authentic for them.
Right.
Again, it's a personal preference. But I love all the music that we've come up with a lot of different music. And even though me being who I am as an artist, I still desire certain styles of music, a certain kind of music, hearing certain music. But for me, realistically, holistically, I'm going to do what's authentic for me. I'm going to do what's real. And what I do is
Right.
what's raw. Like if I had it my way, which I plan on doing next, so I don't know if I should tell everybody that, but I'm not doing all that smashing and mixing. I don't know, that's how I recorded is how I want it to be. I have
Oh, I
music
love
like
that
that right
idea.
now.
That's what's up.
I want the raw. I want you to feel me. I want you to feel what's inside me. Because the only way for me to reach you, to make you feel what I'm actually saying and what's going on, then I need that. I don't need all the the effects and mixes and this, that, and other. Let me even if it is from a track,
Right.
even if it is digitized, there's a raw feeling inside of that.
Oh yeah.
And I know because
definitely.
I've done it. So just saying, just as well as with live music.
Yeah, you
So-
know what? The term right now that's going around, and we've been talking about this within the group, is unfiltered. Because when I brought up
Exactly.
when I brought up to
Exactly.
Leon about the editing, he said, "No, man, like keep
Leave it
raw.
exactly.
Don't mess with it."
See, we've gotten away from that, and that's what that live. We've gotten away from it. And even when I had beats made from digital, it was raw. Before it was mixed or had all these different things. I'm not saying it shouldn't have a good quality for you to listen to, but what I'm saying is that I know what it felt like, and I hated having to replace music at times. Because how I felt at that moment, whatever that music made me feel or whatever I wrote and that music married that, it was that thing. They went together. It's like when you hear something, it makes you chill or it makes you say, you sit up and take notice or you have to push rewind or whatever it does to you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
after, and that's what I'm about with what I do. So saying people want some of that and some people want some of this. Some people just want to be at whatever it is. Either way it goes, again, you can get it either way. But for me, the rawness of things, you know what I mean? It's like for me, sometimes I'll go back and listen to older things, music and songs I've recorded,
Right.
and it tops anything that I've put out right now because it was so raw. It just had it's just a big difference, and that's what I'm going back to now because I'm missing that because I'm compromising a little something just to put music out for people. But I want the listeners. What's the purpose of doing music if you're not going to hear what somebody's saying? And you have people that just like beats. Well, let me put a couple of instrumentals on it for you. You can listen to the beats
Right.
if you want, and I won't put the lyrics if that. Or if you say maybe you can request, I like that beat. I'll remove the lyrics if that's the case. But it's really about giving people what you feel. And you have musicians that just play music, that write music, and you feel it.
True.
They take you somewhere with it. You know what I mean? So they're both the same. You can
I feel you. I feel like I've tried to write lyrics every once in a while, but it always feels like something I'm just experimenting with. But then I go back to make the music, and then it's like, all right, now I'm back in the lab doing what I like.
Exactly. So it's just like that. And I've had to compromise. I remember doing things out there when I signed to Virgin and Rap a Lot and stuff. It was you're gonna do what the mainstream wanted. We were. And the funny part was the group I was in at Rap a Lot was the Black Monks, and we were more like the Fugees or Goody Mob style. If I have to put us a likeness to who we were. And for a Rap a Lot artist, that was all gangster music. So we really didn't fit the label. So we really didn't fit. So what we were doing was totally different. We needed an audience for that. and not for this, because you got Scarface comes out and perform, you got the Ghetto Boys come out, you have, and then here we come, and it was like, whoa, what happened? We went from gangster to, although the people felt us, they really liked would be because, but I think it was more because we were at Rap a Lot also. Not that we weren't good. Sometimes we weren't put in the right places to perform, to execute who we were, but we were a powerful group. You understand what I'm saying? But because we were here with this label on, trying to allow people to hear a different style of music with a label that just lyrically we fit but didn't fit to a degree as that particular group, because there were guys in that group that fit the label when they were solo artists or whatnot. So it kind of, again, I think all music kind of just has its place, and then all people has a place for music to be for them. You know what I mean? So music just, it touches every emotion. So there's so many different ways that people listen to music. Bottom line, because I hear people all the time say, "Oh man, I've heard that song a million times, but I never knew that it said that," because they never tuned into the lyrics. It was all about the beat. Then you have people say, "Man, I never listened to that beat before. That thing," they hear it as an instrumental. "Oh, it's jamming," because I'm a lyric person. They'll say that. You know what I'm saying? So music transcends through people differently. It's not like I say you have different, just different ways, different ears, different set of ears on everybody that
Right.
we hear. You ever seen a kid, you play something? I've always thought that if you can get a child, a little kid, that all of a sudden just start dancing or something, you got something going. Or you get an older person, and they just, because children are pretty much innocent, especially when they're really small. But you play something, you see a child just sitting there, and they get the wiggling and carrying on, or whatever it is. But they're just a kid. They don't even know yet a baby. You get a baby sitting up, and baby start rocking. It's like, hold on, wait a minute, what have I got here?
You got a good point.
What I have here? You have to think like that, because it's like, what made this kid? Or you get an older, elder, a senior out of nowhere, and you play something, and they just go to wiggling and doing things that they didn't even think at their probably where they are in life right now. I never imagined I was dancing like that. I've seen that happen.
I've gotten that a lot, actually, playing piano in my apartment building. There's a lot of elderly Chinese people, and I'll be sitting there playing the piano, and next thing I know, I look up and I done got a crowd of these old people just mob moving and mopping. I'm just like,
so yeah, so just saying, you have different ways, man. That music just like really, do what it does for people differently, and that's why they have music of you have just the ocean. Sometimes just sounds of different things or whatever. You have those musicians that are playing. You have them, from you can get it from a single instrument alone. Just one person playing. It doesn't even take a whole band to make someone out there somewhere feel, something musically. So again, it's, I think we're just blessed to have all different levels of these sounds that we put together.
Absolutely.
I'm intrigued by music just all the way around in different ways than people imagine. There's a method to the madness. This is not for me to say, hey, I'm out here on stage, this is what I do. It's about making a connection. Music does something for people and to people. And that's the mission for me. You know what I mean? If I can be a voice for some folks, or just lyrically, or just, it makes a difference, a big difference. And that's my reason for even being on an independent level of performing. It's more personable for me. I get to reach out and touch folks like literally.
Exactly. You bring up a big point. That's what life's about. Because, food on the table gets eaten, and money gets spent and forgotten about eventually. But what do you have in life? You got that experience, you got those memories, you got those connections. It's the only thing that's real, that's tangible. Like, right here, like I can reach out and touch Asada. I don't know, okay, if I didn't know anything from Canopane, if I didn't know anything about Virgin Records or about tour or about what country or what state you're in playing a song, all I know is the vibe, the connection, the experience.
I don't know. Music is just what it is. I think about even back in the day, how music, even with slaves or people out in the cotton fields or whatever, everybody was singing, doing, that kept them going. And you can send someone a song and just change an emotion, change a feeling. You can direct a feeling or emotion to someone by through music. So it's just, a wonderful state of being as far as I'm concerned. It's one of the best things on the face of the earth as far as I'm concerned, bottom line.
Music has healing powers for the sick, says Deborah Douglas.
That's right.
Sister-in-law.
All day long.
So, you mentioned FL Studio. Is there another tool that you use in your creation process?
Creation process, I would say, if I do vocals, which are few and far in between for me doing, well, I use this other program, Audacity, mainly for like just editing, stacking. Oh, yep. We're using Audacity right here.
So pretty much FL Studio and Audacity are your main tools.
No Pro
Yeah.
Tools, no.
I took a class on Pro Tools in college. I use Ableton sometimes, or I use Virtual DJ, but that's more into like the DJing side of things and the producing side. That was an odd thing that I had to clear up a lot. Like, a lot of people thought, oh, well, you produce beats. What is that called? Is that called a DJ? Or I'm like, no, one plays the songs and maybe does some scratching and some mashing up things on the fly.
That's what I was going to ask you. So
And the other one creates it, right?
the
Right. Producer creates it, DJ spins it and chops it up and does things with it. A lot of times DJs are also producers and vice versa. Like I see, it's easy to get blurred up. It's just all
Yeah,
kind of in the
yeah.
realm of digital music.
Yeah, it all comes under arts, you know. Absolutely.
in your DJ,
Robot
Profession.
DJ 6.
Robot
do
DJ
you ever
6,
use
y'all.
any turntables?
Yeah, actually.
Scratching, and are they digital or like old school both or both?
Oddly a mix. So there's a program on here that has the setup, but then it also plugs into a live mixer, which is about the size of a remote. The one I use is called the Newmart DJ to Go. So it's about that big, and I actually take out one of these bands for my dreads here, and I'll actually adhere the mixer to my arm like that, and we've done photo shoots with it too.
Wow.
And then plug it in, so that way I'm standing up doing something live with it, or I have a hand free to play an instrument, and that's Robot DJ 6. I put on the mixer like that, and it kind of looks futuristic, almost like a cyborg part or something.
Awesome.
Plug that into the computer, and then usually I'll have like an instrument, or I'll even bring another performer with me, like a guitarist. Or most interesting performer is this guy Dr. Dan. I'm totally plugging him now. Or
That's
Dr.
cool.
Dan,
Dr.
he called
Dan,
himself.
Dr. Dan.
Yeah,
Dr.
he
Dan, you wanted at the front. Wanted at
yeah,
the front.
calling one
Dan.
Dr. Dan,
Calling
one Dr.
Dr.
Dan.
Dan.
kid. So he's a rapping pancake artist. Well, he's also branching out into other types of music besides just rap. He actually is a really good singer too. Worked on an album recently that's gonna come out soon.
So have you produced anything on Dr. Dan's new album coming out soon?
Yeah, I've got 3 tracks on there I've worked on. So the interesting thing is he makes pancakes, but he makes them look like comic book characters, your portrait, pictures of things, characters from Pixar movies, stuff like that. So I've actually brought him along a couple of sets that I've played at comic book stores. Just like, hey, this is gonna draw in a lot more people if you're here. 1, you're feeding them. 2, it's performance art.
Hey, I'm hungry now.
And 3, he can rap while he does it. That's the most interesting
So that
part.
means he can make a pancake that's with the St. Louis City Jazz logo.
He could. He totally could.
He can make a pancake with us, this little animated
And I'll eat
characters,
that
and-
bad boy.
That's right. Yes.
Right.
And then write a song about it
I hear you.
and sing it to us.
So you mentioned the DJ from Australia that.
Oh yes, DJ Sorrel, spelled S, the number 3, R, and L. Sorrel.
And you mentioned that he has a hit rate of about 1 million in the first hour with his release.
Oh yeah.
Not as a comparison, but just, what is it like for you when you release your music? Do you release it straight to YouTube?
I've released some videos of YouTube. The highest on YouTube I've gotten was about 7,000 views on one piano improvised session.
That's not bad.
It's not.
Or like,
That's not bad.
like 9,000, 8,000 range for the ones that I put on SoundCloud after I post them to like my Facebook musician page, and then depending if I put an ad boost on it or not. Sometimes you can actually shell out a little bit of money to get your things viewed
Absolutely.
more,
Absolutely.
or choose where they're viewed, which that's
Right.
huge for me because I know most of my listeners come from the Philippines, Ghana, and then the rest are kind of divided amongst Europe and Australia, and then the coasts. And of course, like people in St. Louis who know me personally, like they'll follow it. So I don't want to say like, all of St. Louis doesn't notice or listen. I want to say, hey, thanks
Right.
for the local support. Thank you.
Yeah, well, after
Thank
this,
you tons.
hopefully you'll get some more love, St. Louis.
Yeah, I
Jennings,
kind of
Jayson Jennings.
I kind of wanted to, because I'm one of those YouTube people that I'll listen to something and I may like it and I may put it into my watch later, but never click the like button. So you don't get that. You don't get that that hit.
Don't
that
forget
you
to
can
hit
count
the
on.
like button, guys. Please don't forget to hit
Yeah.
the
So
like.
I think that's
the
part
like
of what
button. Show some love.
It shows the accounts of the views. Please
Yeah.
hit the like button.
Carol
Matter of fact,
Ann.
go to my page
Carol
right now.
Ann.
Side of Storm.
Go into
And
the
pull up
like.
a Side of Storm live. Pull up everything on YouTube and just hit like all
Yeah,
over.
I'm doing
Those
it now.
that like me, like me, like me.
Right.
Here it is.
And
Some
don't forget,
cases,
don't
yeah.
forget about Jayson Jennings. You know,
Oh yeah, yeah. This has been
like us,
so
guys.
enlightening.
We're here
So
for
we
your
continue
likes.
to grow. Right. We like your likes. We
Okay.
love your likes.
So, do you have anything killer to close out this session? Something that is going to kind of encapsulate what we've been through and kind of put it all together. A little fire me.
So maybe I need to redo "Love to Love You," baby.
Can
So
look
like to
around.
like you, baby. Like to like. They need to like the likes.
Yeah. I could play for you this song "Blinding Lights." It doesn't have any words to it yet. It's the most recent song I put out there. It's averaging around like that 7,000 range of views and about
Okay.
2.1 thousand likes. That's doing pretty well. So I figure I'll share this one.
Okay.
Close out with a song.
And St. Louis City Jazz to
Blinding
get all those
Lights.
7,000
Yeah.
likes and those.
Yeah, by
Yes.
Robot DJ 6.
Alrighty.
Jamming.
Y'all can't see us, but we're up here dancing, y'all.
Higher reach if you dare. Every time I see a ball, I just jump, I beat, I don't care. I see my fears, and I think I know what I dream. I see different things, so I reach. I see different things, so I reach. Love who I've been, love how I've grown. I know when I reach, I'll be one more. Full of fear, pulled up from the rear, exceeding boundaries and limits. Reaching may not help me win, but it will get me finished. That's hot.
I like how you caught the beat.
I drink, know what I think, I see different things, I know what I dream, I see different things, so I reach, said I reach, I
like that. You really don't have a limit on what genres you'll like catch on to. That's really cool.
You can hear me?
Yep.
Oh. That's a jamming. It sounds like some reach, you know. Reach, I reach.
I like
reach,
it.
I reach. I reach. Even those days drive me crazy for the limits. Force me to play my hand, say I am going
All right.
get it.
One little thing we
That's how.
overlooked.
That was yours.
Speakers are off, so this doesn't really have sound. We got to figure out a way to mic this if we're gonna for the live.
Okay.
Oh snap.
But that's okay. That's okay. We need to get the audio version up as soon as possible, and you know
Okay.
we can post this. What can we
Alright.
post this on? Adam, how quick